It is time. The
Yes,
moment that
sir.
we have been waiting for. This is multiple variants of this one podcast, but hopefully this is the one where we put it all together.
Ultimately, this
Plus,
is
I
only one.
kind of know what I'm doing now, which I didn't know before, but now I do. Welcome, one and all, to the Bench Player Podcast, the podcast where we talk about basketball and we talk about hip hop. And that's just what makes our worlds go round. I'm Brandon. This is Jordan.
Yes, sir.
And this one's going to be interesting because we're kind of jumping into, as far as the hip hop space goes, jumping into the tail end of catastrophe.
That aftermath.
Like, just absolute utter chaos. And of course, we are talking about Drake versus Kendrick Lamar. And it's so funny because this is, if you're a hip hop fan and you got friends that are hip hop fans, we have been talking about this for what seems like a decade. Just
Absolutely.
what seems like forever. Just say, hey, if they were to kind of go at it, here's how we think it would pan out. And Jordan, I want to ask you, have you been following not only the records, right? We know the records, but have you been following all the theories?
Let me tell you something. I put my tinfoil hat on for half of this. Get on Twitter. Last I heard, Drake slapped a disabled man. Um,
The kid, the little dude in the wheelchair?
where the fuck did he come from? I don't understand.
Are you following the Riddler?
Yes, actually. What
Okay,
is it?
I'm
The
just now
ebony
getting
guy?
on. I'm just now getting on to the Riddler. Like
It's the
he's a
greatest
real
thing I've ever seen
life
in my life.
Riddler.
This is so stupid, but the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Like,
Pill bottles hanging from string. It's like Kendrick Lamar might be Batman. I don't understand what's going on.
dude, it's then I guess the latest report that's coming out is Drake paid someone 150,000 to find dirt on Kendrick, and then it was all fake information. Apparently, there's fake information on both sides. I don't know. I don't know what to do
Assume
with it.
everybody lied at this point.
Yeah, everybody's lying, and it is so clear. And I'll start this off with this is my take.
Okay.
It is so clear that the internet and Drake fans, you guys, and first of all, before we even get into that, I want to say I don't think you can find bigger Drake and Kendrick fans than me and Jordan.
Absolutely.
Like when this started, I am a Drake stan. I'm a Kendrick stan. I love both these dudes. This isn't a stance of Kendrick
Well,
is hip hop, Drake is
yeah,
pop. It's
there's
none
no
of
bias.
that. It's none of that. I love both these guys. I will continue to listen to both these guys. And I can tell the Drake fans are the ones more like active on the internet that are defending and
Uh,
arguing. I get it. So you guys don't know like battle culture. And it's clear, right? And even some of the higher authority guys like talking heads in the hip hop space, Maul from Rory and Maul.
I've never seen such a
And
biased stance in my life.
and he knows battle culture because when he was on the Button Pod, they would talk about like URL rap battles. Like
Yeah,
you know this, but yet you don't, right? So they say the biggest defending point from the Drake side is Kendrick did a record with all lies and fake information.
correct.
Here's my response. So? Do you guys know? Here's how battling goes, right? So I sit here and I have my opponent. If I find out that you just have casual conversations with underage girls, bitch, you're a pedophile. Because I'm gonna say you're a pedophile. Because that's
Absolutely.
what it
Whatever it
is.
takes. Whatever it takes. I
That's
don't
what it
care
is.
about the accuracy of it.
It doesn't matter if it's true or not. Like if I find out that you have a homie that has an interesting case, he's a pedophile too. And your
And why is
whole
he around?
yeah, and your whole team is predators. That's what I'm gonna do. Like that's the like all I have to do is just all I got to do is hear a rumor, and that I got a whole verse about it. That's what it is.
Let me tell you, I have a brother-in-law, biggest Drake fan in the world. My God, we talking about Kendrick Lamar. I was like, he's like, yeah, man, Drake's just telling all the facts and Kendrick's just lying. I was like, what is the facts for Kendrick? He's hitting his wife. His kid's not his. I said, oh, I didn't know there was like proof out for it. What's the proof? She doesn't follow him on Instagram, man. Wait, hold on. That means all of this? It's wild, man. It's a interesting time. A lot of biasness comes out. I love hip hop. I love talking about hip hop. So this is the greatest time in the world. But you see a lot of OVO people on payroll that's not actually getting paid. Let me say that.
It's so wild that you can decide who won what, and Kendrick lied about some stuff, so it's null and void, and Drake automatically wins that round, I guess. That's not how this works at all.
No.
Like, there's and I can give you actual battles that you can watch on YouTube where lies won the battle and truth lost the battle. It's all about how you deliver it. Disaster versus Arcane. That's a battle you can look up. Disaster had proof and screenshots of the dude he was battling bought bars from someone else for the battle. He had like PayPal receipts and messages. You would think, oh, so he
That's
must
right.
have won, right? No, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, it's literally comes down to who can deliver this shit better. That's all that matters.
That's all we
Do
care
I
about.
think Drake is a pedophile? No. And I hope he's not, right?
Yeah.
Because
No.
ew. But
It,
like,
it's like one side of this, if everything's true, only thing we found out is both these guys are shitty people.
like yeah,
And
both
I
these
really hope
guys,
that's not true.
like, here's the thing. It's on Drake had to have known going into this that there's some shit that's going to be used against him, right? You texting the giving advice to the Stranger Things girl when she was
No,
14?
that was a little
You
wild. I ain't gonna
you
lie to you.
can't put yourself in that situation, even
No,
if it was all friendly. You
it could.
can't do that.
Like, I was watching an interview with Bobby Brown. It's like, he just texted me he missed me so much. That is wild. Let
Like,
me.
hold on. And if I'm battling you, hell yes, I'm
You're
gonna
now a
use
pedophile.
that.
I've
Like,
decided.
you're a pedophile. Like, I'm sorry. Like that's just how it goes, you know? And it's the same thing for Drake. You hear a rumor that Kendrick's baby's not his. Okay, my whole verse is gonna be about how your
I don't think it's
wife's
true. I might find out halfway through the verse that it's not true. Guess what? It's still going out. It's on wax. I don't
like
care. Like,
that's battling and that's hip hop. And for these guys to be like, oh, none of it's true, so it doesn't count. Get a life.
no.
Like honestly.
They've done with the tinfoil hat, I like reading it. It's still wild that grown people are spending so much time researching all this.
Shit.
I got the video footage from the hotel that says that this person can't even be in the hotel, so there's no way they would have the footage. The time goes back to dog. Get a job.
Like
I don't care. I'm assuming everything's lies. I'm here for execution. That's it.
facts. So going conclusion, right? Who do you think won?
Come on. This is gentleman sweep. Kendrick's the winner.
Um, what was the oh shit moment for you in this battle? Like, what was it? Could have been a record, it could have been a bar, it could have been anything. Like, what was the moment that made you go, oh my God, this is wild, this is amazing?
Um, I would say, what was it, May 4th?
Oh, he's got dates. Holy shit.
So this is like cinema, the way this happened. So I had some people over, we were chilling at the house, and they know I'm a hip hop head, right? So I know everything.
Yep.
It's like, can you explain me what's going on with this beat? So I went through every single
Yes,
song,
I can.
explain line by line, and I kid you not, I finished explaining to it, and then I got a text. Did you hear that Drake shit? I was like, what?
What Drake shit?
Wait, what? Family Matters drops. So I'm like, yo, we listen to Family Matters. Let me, before I even continue, top 10 diss song I've ever heard in my life. Very
Yeah,
clear.
continue. Do you think?
Very clear. But then we listen to that shit. We're staring at each other in the face. I'm on Twitter like, what the fuck just happened? And then next thing tweet I see, Kendrick Lamar. Meet the Grams. And I'm like, what is happening? You
I'm
hear
pretty
Meet the
sure you were texting me in all caps.
Yes, 100%. And then you listen to Meet the Grams, and suddenly the entire mood of the room changes. And that was the oh shit moment. Just like what is happening? Like I don't know. Great moments. It's one of my favorite moments in hip hop since I've been born.
Right.
Just the setup of it, the situation I was in when it happened, and just shock value, man. We want to hear things come out like that, and both guys put out some great records. That's one thing that I don't want to ever get overlooked. That despite what you think happened, we just saw two top dogs perform and show why they're the top dogs, and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so my favorite record. I do have Kendrick winning, but my favorite record was a Drake record.
Yeah,
Like Family Matters, that is the best rapping we have heard from Drake possibly ever.
yeah,
I'm sitting here, I was in this chair at this computer listening to it, and how polished the schemes were, the energy. I don't think I've heard that from Drake since damn from back. Nothing was the same if you're reading this is too late type shit. Like,
yeah.
which I think, if you were to ask me, I think that was prime rapping Drake. Was like, as far as bars go, that was when, I prefer Drake. But the Family Matters record, that was my ONG moment. That was holy shit. Because the two things we wanted out of this beef. We wanted Kendrick to drop more,
Mm-hmm.
and we wanted Drake to rap.
Got both.
We all won, right? Um, Now, do you think it's over?
I think it's over for the sense of this battle is over. Will the dissing stop? No.
Oh, they've been
That's
sneak dissing for forever. You think it's
yeah.
just going to continue?
I think Drake kind of admitted he lost without saying he lost. He's good about doing that. Even with the Pusha T thing, like he's not going to flat out said he lost, but he'll kind of allude to it. So, but Drake is still Drake. Like you know what I mean. Like the next song he's gonna put out will probably go #1. That's who he is. He's gonna put out great
Yeah,
music.
right.
So I'm never mad at that. But even in defeat, he's gonna keep throwing shots. So yes, I think this battle is over with. I don't think as much diss tracks as we got in a 5-day time frame. How much longer can you go realistically?
Right.
I think the direct dish tracks are over with, but little sneak shots are gonna happen for the rest of their careers.
Yeah, and have you been following DJ Academics, he's in some shit right now. So,
He got his own shit going on right
yeah,
now.
I just read that, but uh Academics said he talked to Drake and said the reason why Drake didn't respond again is just because, his people got shot outside.
Mhm.
There's been like a bunch of shit. There's been like 3 arrests
Yeah,
of
no, it's
people
kind of
coming.
crazy.
Like
Like in
that
a
is
matter
that
of
is
days,
wild. Um
it sounds like some
and
genre shit.
apparently Kendrick has like 10 records ready to go. I mean, I guess minus the ones he already released, but he recorded 10 in a session. And
It sounds like he had more to go. That's what he kept talking about. Was I keep going.
do we get a Kendrick album this year?
I think if he's smart, absolutely.
Capitalize off it. Same reason why Future keeps dropping.
Yeah, I
Like,
think Drake is the biggest artist on the planet. I think that Kendrick right now, you just it's almost that Pusha T situation. You just knocked off the biggest artist in the planet. You just got a #1 record off a diss, which is insane. You have to capitalize on that. Now we know Kendrick. We know how he moves. We know he's very strategic, and we know he spends a lot of time on his albums. I hope we get something, but we'll see.
yeah, no, I can't imagine more diss records coming out. I
Yeah,
think
I think
for
fan base is
one,
kind of
how Drake chose to end it was very, I want to choose my words carefully. So no Drake stands come at me. I'm sorry.
okay.
His last record was, it almost sounded like he was bowing out ish.
No,
Like,
it sounded like throwing the white towel.
yeah,
But
it was like, everything you said's not true.
He said, "All my shit is facts," and then it came out that none of it was true.
Right. And then it was very low energy. It was very
Yeah,
like talking to him. And like if
the
I was
tones.
Kendrick and I heard that, I'd be like,
Oh, he's
okay,
done. Yeah, he's
okay.
done.
Yeah. Um, I think Kendrick proved what we always kind of thought, and that's and I think we've had this conversation before when we were talking on Zoom, but I said, you know, if Drake's the most popular rapper, that's fine. If Cole's the better writer, that's fine. But Kendrick has always been the most important. And I think this showed it,
Yeah,
right?
he's giving me the most important music. And one thing I will say that his last album, Miss Morale, back up on the charts now, and people are starting to go back and realize, oh shit! Like one thing I would say is that this made rapping more important. This battle to pop culture, it made rapping a lot more important. People from both parties just heard people rap top tier, and now they're starting to go back and listen, and they're listening to Miss Morale, be like, oh, this album is so deep. I never even tried to give it a try. It's like, okay, well, that's if we can put the art at the forefront at the end, that's a win for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you hear people say it, this could be these are the last dudes that are kind of from that. They're kind of from that culture, you know?
Who else is in the battle?
Like this could be it for this type of hip hop. I'm not saying hip hop's dead, but this type of hip hop where, you know, I'm gonna send a record at you, you send a record back. You know, I think when we talk about, you know, a segment that we have coming up, and that's who is the big three once this big three is done. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know who you have, you don't know who I have, but I look at who I have, and like other than maybe one, who else is really from this type of culture where they know how to handle situations with diss tracks and records? It seems like other than some select few more underground guys, you
I
know,
think when we talk big three, you have to consider popularity with that. And from my standpoint, no, nobody's doing that. Because
because
why?
rapping like this isn't really popular. If you
Correct.
really think about it. Now it is. When you know, I don't like fucking ice skating, right? But if Jay-Z and fucking and fucking Nas went out and started ice skating, I watch that shit. Like, you know, like that's the thing. Like no one this type of music, there's dudes every single day in the kind of underground scene that's making music like this, but no one gives a shit because it's not the dudes that are selling out arenas, right? But
And that
now that when the best two put on the gloves, I'm everybody's for it. Everybody's for it now. Whereas someone like me and you, maybe we've always been about this because this is what we come from, but it made everybody about it, right? Like you had like girls on TikTok who does like makeup videos that are over here dissecting the Drake and Kendrick beef, and that's
yeah,
awesome, right? That's all we want. We want to broaden it, and hopefully it inspires people to do shit. Quavo and Chris Brown,
that was crazy.
you think that happens if it wasn't for all this hostility?
Yeah, Rick Ross game.
or I
Everybody's like,
guess, or I guess just the game.
well, the game's gonna diss any. The game might be dissing us right now. I don't know.
The
Like this is
game just wants someone to say his name, and nobody will. And I don't necessarily think it's because he's super good at rapping. I just think they view it as like,
I think it's a mixture of both because he will rap and not stop. That's the problem. Yeah,
you see Rick Ross with the cereal bowl.
because Rick Ross is like, I'm not rapping back to this guy. That's crazy.
And all of and since we're talking about the big three, right? In the big three right now, it's kind of been the big threes, same big three it's always been. It's been Kendrick, it's been Cole, it's been Drake. So I want to talk about when this big three moves on. Kendrick's gonna like disappear. Drake is just gonna get so famous, he's gonna just, you know, buy a rocket ship and fly out of here. And then Cole's gonna be picking flowers somewhere, right? So I want to ask you, who is the next big three? Like these guys are out of the picture. They're done rapping or they're taking long breaks. Who's the next big three that kind of carries hip hop moving forward?
You got to put Travis Scott in there.
Okay.
Um, he's
He even sounds retiree to me. Like all these rappers sound like they're about to retire.
if you have seen the. So I went to a Travis Scott concert recently.
Are you
When I talk,
okay?
no, I long story. When you see the kids' reaction to Travis Scott, it's different. It's
It is
different.
true. Yep.
Him, Playboy Cardi, and probably this sounds crazy, but probably Lil Yachty as well.
I've
Um,
actually grown to really appreciate Yachty.
yeah, no, you see the musical talent. That's one thing that you can't argue with. Like I get it. Me and my wife, we went and we go on, music video binges. We'll just go watch music videos back to back. Some Yachty songs came on, and I'm just like, you know what? I get it. Like this is a vibe.
It's fine. Yeah.
It vibes, it's cool, it's creative, so I can't be mad at it. But as far as just popularity, those are the guys that's the kids love and that's gonna stay at the top of the charts and are not ever gonna rap at each other because they don't care.
So that's your big three.
Correct.
Okay. So I would take a completely different route.
Okay.
And Travis, I guess, is more along the lines. But I'm thinking who's going to lead the charge
Mhm.
that's going to touch also that hip hoppy side as well as become
Superstars.
a big star, right? I got 21 Savage.
Okay.
I think he's the guy that's getting better.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
he's still improving. And that means a lot.
That
He's
was
dropped all his last three albums have been, even though there's some that are collab albums, but his last three albums, including the most recent one this year, have been great albums.
yeah.
Just great. I mean, I don't know if you call them classics, but they've been great. And that says a lot, right? So I got him, right? Two, this is a dude, I've had my money on him for forever. He's about to do a project or is in the process of doing a project with Metro Boomin, and that's JID, JID, baby.
Oh, love Jid. Love.
He's doing a project with Metro Boomin. And that I think his last album it was nominated for all types of awards, so he's getting there. But I think a Metro album can really catapult him to another level. And I think he makes music that I think the casual fan can appreciate, and then us hip hop guys can really get down with, you
Yeah.
know. And my last one, and it's so funny because this guy's a year older than Kendrick, but that's Schoolboy Q, right?
Hmm.
Schoolboy Q, he's also a guy that's getting better. He's also a guy that's improving, and he recently did. I don't know how recent, but it was this year. He got on some interviews and he said, "I'm not retiring. I really fucking care about this hip hop shit." And I think he could be the guy that takes the torch because also touching multiple demographics. He's starting to rap, which we didn't
Yeah.
really hear before.
Right.
He comes with super high energy that casuals love, right? And I think those are my three guys that I think can really come to the top of the game. And then another guy that's an honorable mention for me. If he can get back to the hip hop game, because he kind of ventures off, is Tyler the Creator.
Okay.
When this dude raps, he's a musical savant, and he brings interesting ideas, and when he produces, it's so intricate. And talk about a young fan base like Travis Scott, kids love Tyler the Creator.
Yeah.
And that's another
Yeah. They
guy,
love that.
but there's not really a guarantee that he stays in hip hop.
That's what I was gonna say. I would 100% agree. I just think he gets bored of hip hop. He wants to venture into every single musical aspect of any genre.
Yeah, and it's those are my guys, okay? And before we really get off beef, right? So we have I want to
Oh,
talk about, and this is a topic that is created strictly because of you and who you are. Um the beef started with Drake and Kendrick
mhm.
with Future on the Like That record.
Yeah,
So it made me think you are a Future stan.
absolutely.
Me, I don't think anyone's a bigger fan than you. I don't think anyone's on your level. I love Future. So I wanted us to get together and I
Okay.
want us to do our top 5 favorite Future projects.
Woo. I'm curious
Okay?
your thought, just because I
Yeah,
don't know how far
so I
back.
have a reason for every single one. Okay? Um So I want to give it to you, and we're gonna start at five. So you do your five, I'll do my five, and then we'll work our way up like that. So
Okay.
in your top five favorite future projects, give me your number five.
Number 5 is Monster.
Okay,
Uh, so many hits on there.
dude.
Hits. And these
The
are
intro to Monster.
crazy.
Oh,
It's just you got songs, Throwaway, My Savages. It's these are street classics, right? This is before he really hit his big mainstream level. Probably right before he hit it. But just man, it's I had to go back and listen to it while we were talking about this, and I
yeah,
was kind of putting a list together. And Monster is just insane. It's the perfect example of the future sound, and what it can be at the highest level.
absolutely. Um, I love Monster. So my five, I have Evil. Okay,
Okay, not mad at that.
maybe a little low, but here's the thing: Evil has star power in the records. Like it starts with Ain't No Time. Like leading off with Ain't No Time's crazy. Ends with Wicked. That's crazy. And then it
Mm-hmm.
has one of my favorite weekend records, Low Life. My favorite weekend future records, Low Life, right? Um, could be higher. There's just a little bit of records I don't care for in that stretch from Ain't No Time to Low Life. There's just some records in there that I could just do without.
And that's
Um,
it didn't make my list because of that. I had the same line.
so
It's probably 6 for me.
Oh yeah, it's yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna go next. I'm gonna give you my four.
Okay.
Okay, now this is the one where I would love to hear your reaction because this is a project that I listened to it when it came out back in I don't want to say the date because then it'll kind of give it away. But this is a project I loved it when it came out. I listened to it from cover to cover, and I think it's some of my favorite Future vibes and the energy that I love from Future. Number four is The Wizard.
Okay.
That it came out in 2019. It just the beat selection on this project, it's more jumpy, and
Yeah.
it's just my favorite type of future is the wizard. Is not there's not the star power that maybe an evil has, like as far as those like hit records,
That's it, yeah.
but like it's just from cover to cover, such a solid listen. I got the wizard at four. What you got?
Okay. So my 4 is the self-entitled album Future.
Okay.
This is where you get Mask Off on there. It's there's songs on there that I just love. This, Scrape. It's to me, it's one you got one of his biggest songs ever on there. Plus, you just have it's consistent from top to bottom, which is what a good album in general. You want something that's from top to bottom. There's not much throwaways on there. Uh, so that's I got Future at 4.
All right, give me your three.
3 is I Don't Trust You. Recency
Okay.
bias, maybe. Once again, I got my hit on there. Obviously, it's still in the top 5 right now. With Like That, and you got to also give it some credit because it catapulted one of the greatest beats of all time. So there's some points there, but that's it's the future sound once again, top level. It's a high level future, consistent, not a lot of misses on there. And you also have just fantastic production. Metro went
Oh
stupid
my
on this.
gosh, the best, the
He went
best.
stupid on this thing. It's I've never even like considered that you could flip certain songs the way he did. So I love it.
I love it. Yep. So number three for me, I got honest.
Okay.
So move that dope. One of my favorite records.
Crazy.
You got shit on that record. You ain't that shit. All time fight song,
That
right?
song makes me want to stab people.
Karate Chop. So many big records on there. This was the first album for me that because I it took me a while to warm up to Future. Because like records like Magic came out.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this was when Future fathered the style, right? So still as a hip hop guy, took me a little bit, like I feel like it does for most people. Most people that are hip hop heads, like you
It's different to the
something new coming out like that, you
yeah.
definitely have to warm up to it. But this was the first album, I think it was 2014, the first album where I get it. Like I understand. I understand now. This is the first one that puts me on game. The songs, have, I mean, it's 10 years old now. So the songs still have somewhat of a nostalgic feel to me. Like when I hear real dope dealers for real, when I hear that in the beginning of Move That Dope, like that's gonna make me go crazy every single time. So I got Honest at 3. So number 2, I got DS3.
DS2.
DS2, sorry. I don't have 3. Sorry. I have DS2. Sorry.
Same.
I'm a
Disrespect.
fake future guy. I don't know. I literally on my notes, I literally have DS3, and I just read my notes instead of going with what the name of the album is. 3 letters, and I fucked them up. Yeah, I got DS2 for obvious reasons. Um, I think the I just fucked your bitch in Gucci flip flops.
Come on now.
What else can you really say?
That could have been the only song on the album, and it's up there still.
Yeah, I mean, it's I feel like a lot of Future's quotables are on this project,
Mhm.
and I think it has one of the more slept on collaborations with Drake with Where You At. I feel like that's a record that people forget about, but no, DS2 at 2. What you got for 2?
So I imagine our last two is going to be flip flopped. So at 2, I have What a Time to Be Alive.
Oh, I didn't
Uh,
include that. That's fine.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Well, What a Time to Be Alive. To be frank with you, this just kind of put Future in a different world musically. I would say this is more about what it did for Future than the actual music, if that makes sense.
right.
Uh, just because I have to, it has to be mentioned. It's one of his biggest albums for that reason. He was the biggest artist on the planet, delivering consistently. And you just got some slaps on there. So
Such a
I'm
good
not mad
album.
at it. I think Future, to be frank with you, I think Future outshined the biggest artist on the world on this album. Uh, you know, that's my recency or my future bias, but that's what I think. And then my final one, DS2,
Yep.
without question. That is when I said that future sound, a consistent future sound throughout an album, that is the peak of what I'm referring to. So just consistent, just stick talk on there. It's crazy.
Yep.
I could go by each individual song on there and would lose my mind. But it's just consistent from top to bottom. I love it. It's hard as hell, and it's the future sound. And I think that it's you when you turn on the radio today, you still hear that sound.
Yeah, absolutely. And my number one, and I told you when it came out, this is my favorite Future album. I got We Don't Trust You at number 1.
Okay.
Recency bias, I don't give a shit. I've listened to that album probably 13 times since it's came out. Production smokes every single Future project. Like just off of beats and production
Yeah,
alone.
this is highest level production. Absolutely. I agree with you.
The highest level of production, but this is the most polished, in my opinion, that we have seen Future or heard Future. Like, super. This album, and this is gonna be crazy. This album, I think, definitely put Future number 1 in Atlanta. But obviously, solo act, the number one Atlanta rapper, number 1 Georgia rapper of all time. Like there was Ti, there was Jeezy. This album, I feel like it was here. This album, I think, gives Future the ammunition to make a case, and we're obviously excluding Outkast because Outkast, but
They're above that.
Future, I think, with this project specifically, really showed that with his catalog, nobody can really fuck with him.
Right.
Like there's this project, and it might not be right now, it might be too new, I might be crazy right now, but this project is going to be a cornerstone for that leads to a bunch of conversations that we have to have about Future.
Yeah.
Like he's this, I think it catapulted him on some list, on some rankings, wherever you put it. This for a guy that's so hip hoppy like myself, this project was damn near flawless, not a skip on it.
Hmm.
And to do that so late in your career, look at the amount of projects and mixtapes that he has. To do that this late in your career, I think it says a lot.
I
And
think that to your point, this album puts him in a lot of conversations that hip hop heads may not want him in, but you have to now.
there's just nothing that you can tell me about. Future at this point, especially when you're speaking about that album. You know, if your favorite rapidy rapper cannot do what he just did
Yeah,
on this project, and Metro Boomin is the best producer in the world right now.
without question.
He is whatever Timbaland's peak was, whatever Pharrell's peak was, whatever Scott Storch's peak was,
Thank you.
whatever. This is it. This is the peak. This is, you know, we're going to
No,
be looking back 10, 20 years from now, and we're going to say Metro Boomin is on a Mount Rushmore somewhere as far as producers, because what he can do with the type of beats that he produces, unbelievable.
like I said, it might be recency bias, but you bring up the Pharrells, you bring up. I don't think it's this because, and for one main reason is that Metro Boomin, what he's been able to do at the volume he's been able to do it at. These other producers have not had to do that.
And
His
it's
catalog is at least double what these other artists are. They've been around for much longer than him.
right, and his sample game
It's crazy.
is Alchemist like.
Yeah.
But the difference between him and Alchemist is he's sampling, but putting them on beats that the casual music fan is going to love. The clubs and strip clubs are gonna love. And he's incorporating like soulful music samples. Like he really shows his ass when it comes to pause. When it comes to like literal music knowledge as far as oldies and samples, but he's putting them on these like hype trap type beats, and like the casual listener doesn't understand, but someone like us, we're like, there's some musical shit going on here
Yeah,
that people
absolutely.
don't understand.
Yeah, one of my favorite pages breaks down how they use samples and how they put it together to
Right,
make
yeah.
a song. Jesus Christ, just go through Metro stuff on there. It's insane.
He's on another level. Whatever, like I said, whatever peak Swiss Beats, peak, you know, Timbaland, Pharrell, whoever you got, like Metro needs to be in that conversation. And we're in it right now. He's still in his prime. I think he's still going to put out amazing music and produce amazing beats. But when it's all said and done, Metro in that number one spot is not far off.
Yeah,
It's not far
absolutely.
off at all. Next segment, let's go to this is actually, I just put this in here for fun. So speaking of peaks,
Oh, you
like
crazy.
Metro's peak,
Like scaring me.
let's talk about your top 5 favorite rappers who you believed in that either fell off
Ugh,
or didn't meet expectations. Okay.
this is gonna hurt me.
This is gonna suck, right? But we have to
These are
now
all artists that I like.
can I give you, am I cheating if for my 5, can I give you like a tie for 2, like a tie, like
Yeah,
2 guys
absolutely.
who I can't make choose over?
No, I
Okay.
had a hard time putting together a top five. Like ranking them, it was tough for me.
Okay. So, well, it's not at 5, but I have one where I'm like I can't decide, right? So, number 5, and I kind of put these in order of like how confident I was in them. So, like my number 1 guy is like a dude who I thought was a no-brainer. So,
Like,
like
mine's kind of set up the same way.
yeah,
I'm with you.
my 5 is someone who like I was more hoping for. But number 5, I got Corey Guns, dude.
Mm,
Corey Guns, he was on the 6 foot 7 foot record, right?
incredible.
Can rap his ass off, has some of my favorite freestyles when he was up and coming. Literally took that 6 foot 7 foot record and did fuck all with it. Like just nothing. Absolutely. He had a TV show at one point.
Yeah, once you
Everything.
start making TV shows, it's over, big dog.
Yeah, like it was called Son of a Gun, I think, because his dad was a rapper too. Peter Guns.
Yeah,
God.
his dad's actually more popular than him now.
Because of love and hip hop.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. God, I got something in my eye. Anyways.
He did.
Um give me your 5. Who you
All
got?
right, so at five, because of his first album was one of the greatest first albums I had heard, YG.
Oh, you think YG fell off? Oh,
I mean, and like I said, let me not say fell off because
he
I'm
just
talking
didn't reach. Okay.
correct.
Okay, got you. I got
Correct.
you. I got you.
Because his first album is a classic, without
Yep.
question. And we've kind of gone downhill every single album since. That's
Okay.
what I'm to. Great storytelling throughout that album. And I know that people always say, you took forever to put your first album, but he had plenty of mixtapes before that. But just fantastic storytelling on his first album. It was very deep, very personal. And then after that, we just got bops on every album after that. And a little disappointing. That's all. We got some, even the bops have started to get a little disappointing as well.
Right.
I'm not sure last time you heard a YG album.
Last time I heard YG was the record he did with Tyga and Wayne, where Wayne just went absolutely ballistic and it was all over the internet.
And you were not worried about YG whatsoever.
Yeah, like I think YG was the last verse. I mean, he was fine, but I like that. Okay,
Yeah,
so
no, it's not that it's bad. It's just
no, so
whatever, you know.
you're saying he's not a flop, he's not a one-hit wonder. It's just you thought it
Correct.
was up, but it wasn't up.
Correct. Because you gotta think that My Crazy Life came out in 2014. This is 10 years later. I can't even think of another album from him.
Fair
Obviously,
enough.
he's been out since, but and he's had songs, don't get me wrong. But as far as a whole collective album, it's been disappointing since.
All right, give me your four.
For my four, Ace Hood.
Okay.
Tough. Just because Ace Hood can rap his ass off. If you listen to any of
Yeah.
his mixtapes, because even after he fell off, he still great mixtapes.
Yeah, I listened to one like a couple years ago, not too long ago, where he
Yeah,
was
fire. I think we might have
decent
shared it
music.
with each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
But great rapper, had hits, and then and keep in mind this fall off may not be strictly based on talent. Sometimes it's contract situations. It's other
Relationships.
correct, but we're
Yeah.
going off of just what we see. And it's a fall off easily. I mean, it's unfortunate, but definitely a fall off.
I respect it. Okay, my four. This is the one that I have two guys tied. I could not make a decision. So
Okay.
number four, I got Rich Homie Quan / Bobby Shmurda. Those are so Rich Homie Quan for two different reasons. Bobby
I was
Shmurda had
excited for you.
one record that was the biggest thing in the world, and you just wanted more after that one record, right? Rich Homie Quan had about 5 records
Yeah, no,
that
he's a moment.
I still go back to, but it was just one of those things where just didn't click, couldn't do it again. But yeah, 5 I got Rich Homie Quan and
Four.
Bobby Shmurda. Or at 4, yep.
Yeah.
My 3 I got Designer.
Okay.
So the reason why it was maybe there was only room for one Future, right? But it was a time where Future was like in his like not in his prime, but like Future was blowing the fuck up, and
Correct.
Future was on every popping chorus. I think this was around the time like Bugatti and everything was popping off.
He's a
Future
long
was
time.
going crazy. You'd think that there'd be enough room for a guy like Future, such as Designer.
But it's not like he sounded exactly like him. That was
No, it's just like they were just very similar, like same tone. Um, it seems like the Designer is like kind of Future on cocaine, a little more
yeah.
fast speed. Well, I mean, his whole even when he talked, it was just so fast paced. But I obviously Panda was huge. Um, the little Timmy Turner freestyle was super popular, and I thought it was
People did not
cool.
like that. I thought that shit was crazy. I
That
ain't
shit
gonna lie.
was so clever.
Like the
That like,
snippet he did.
yeah,
The snap, that was insane.
I fucked with that.
I was like, oh, this is about to go stupid. Like,
Yeah, and so yeah, I got Designer at 3. Who you got?
all right. So at 3, I'm gonna go with like I have a couple that are flip flops, right?
Okay.
No Chance the Rapper.
Ooh, yep.
Chance, I thought was gonna be the next Drake.
That's true. I can't believe I didn't even think of him. I don't know
I was
why.
I was so wrong. Now, problem was, as two married men were saying this, he got married, and that was a problem. Like, you don't have to rap about. We don't need to hear about your
That's
married.
it. That's it
Yeah,
right there.
look, that's him. And then about 3 months from now, it's gonna be me. That's where we're at in our life. But it's he got too deep into his married life bag. It was like you can still just rap. Like there's like Kendrick just raps. He's not married, but he's been with his girl for forever. Like
It's
it's
the
okay.
lethal combination of getting married, having kids, and then getting really close to God.
And getting off drugs.
And it's just like,
What we're saying, kids, is get closer to drugs and stay further away from God.
yeah.
You'll have great music.
Well, he's getting a divorce, so
Hey, we up.
we up now.
Let's go.
I can't. I didn't. He's not on the list. I didn't even think of him. That's how much I don't think. I think about Designer more than I think about Chance the
That's how big
Rapper.
the fall off was. Like,
That's crazy.
He's got a
Okay,
Grammy. That's crazy.
who you got it to?
So at two, I'm gonna go with Ja Rule because kids have no idea who Ja Rule is.
No clue.
And if you look up his impact in the early 2000s, it's insane that y'all have no idea who this guy is. I don't know. Ja Rule was Drake at some point, and nobody seems to acknowledge that.
Dude, he was on all the pop and R&B records.
Fire. He has his he just has an amazing catalog. But then he ran to 50 Cent.
50
And
Cent will end your career, my guy.
50 Cent ended his career and then stopped rapping.
Yeah, like, no, that's I love Ja Rule at two. So at two for me, I'm gonna pull one that you had earlier. I got Ace Hood at two.
Yeah, tough.
I mean, same reasons you hit it on the head. Um, it really just seemed like Ace Hood got stuck in only knowing how to rap in one flow.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just that Bugatti flow was kind of every single song, right?
Hard, but
Yeah,
good time.
it brought the same energy every single time. It works for some people, but I don't get how some artists can rap one way for forever and be super famous, and
Mhm.
then some guys can't. Like it seems like they just get tired of it, and maybe he blew up at the wrong time in a short attention span era. But yeah, I got Ace Hood at two. Number one.
Uh-oh.
Okay,
I'm
so
scared.
I was 100% sure. Remind you, this is like back at like my middle school, high school days, right? B.O.B. man.
Oh my God.
B.O.B. They were calling him the new Andre 3000.
That's
Like
insane.
that was something they called him.
I never heard that before in my life.
It was everywhere because they both have same vocal tones. They're both from the same area. They're both from Atlanta. But like
I would
people were saying, huh?
have never said that, but continue. Sorry.
But they were that's what I didn't say it. That's what the internet was saying. They're saying he was, I'm pretty sure I could pull up an article right now. Like he was the next Andre 3000. He, the reason why I thought, and it's not really my fandom, this is really, these aren't guys I'm necessarily like super fans of, but just guys that when I saw what was going on, you kind of put the pieces together and was like, okay, it's up from here, right? On his mixtape, he got an Eminem feature when it was actually meant something,
Yeah.
right? And then he got an Andre 3000 feature. That always means something. And it was like on mixtapes, songs that would not be on to be able to purchase.
That
Like
label's
he
crazy.
was giving them shits out for free. And I'm like, holy shit. This guy is, and he had the huge records, right? He
Yeah.
had the
Yeah.
headband record. Was it We Still in This Bitch? Like he
Yeah.
had
No, he has some
records.
smash. He has some smashes.
And man, then he started saying the world was flat and the earth was flat, and he kind of just got super weird.
It's a rap for you when
Um,
you start doing this shit.
and he got on my algorithm at some reason, and when I was doing doctor's appointments or whatever, I'm looking at TikTok, and then a new B.O.B. record pops on my shit.
I make doctor's appointments and BOB popped up and
He's like,
fuck yeah. That's
they've been asking where I've been at. Have they? Seems like we're doing fine. But who's your number one? I'm trying to think. You kind of like really, who is your number one? I don't
Um,
know.
this was
Let's
gonna hurt me.
go.
This is gonna hurt me. All right. So
Oh no.
let me preface this. Let me preface this.
Okay.
So this is not somebody who's necessarily fallen off. This is somebody who, when I first heard them, I thought they had the possibility to be the greatest rapper of all time.
I
This is
haven't
a
fallen
person.
off that bad, dude.
Oh shit. Well, let me scrap.
I got need a new number one.
This is just my personal opinion. I heard it. I heard him, and I was just like, this is the most creative, deep rapping. Somebody who can really, really rap. So my number one, shout out to Haley, is Wale.
Oh my gosh. The internet's gonna kill you. I'm clipping this for sure. Say
I don't,
cheese.
okay, but once again, this is not somebody who's fallen off. He's not nowhere near as big as I think he should have been.
Right.
Not even close.
Right.
It's not a shot to Wale. This is more of a kudos to him that I think his talent level calls for him to be a top three rapper. He should be the big three.
Oof. Yep.
Over J. Cole, because J. Cole doesn't want to rap anyway.
Yep.
So I think Wale should be in that conversation strictly based off talent. and he's nowhere near it. If you talk to your common fan, your common fan may not even know who Wale is.
That's fair, especially when you
That's
get to these young folk.
correct, and that's what my conversation is based off of. So that's why I said it's not person's not falling off. He still makes great music, but as far as you started this with where we were at when we first heard them versus where we expected them to be, and I thought he would be bigger than Drake at this point.
That's fair. That's fair. Um, I like where you kind of took it and you kind of took it to you really analyzed your factors here, and you were
Correct.
like not necessarily how big the fall off was, but how big the potential was.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It's not based off. Oh, this because not everybody on this list fell off. YG hasn't fallen off.
Right.
Maybe not as
Exactly.
big as he could have been. Chance the Rapper hasn't fallen off. Ja Rule's definitely
Wait.
fell.
Wait. Wait. Chance the Rapper might have fallen off.
Well, once again, we're comparing to where he was at.
Yeah.
Yes, he's fallen off from where he was at, but I don't think he's fallen off completely.
Okay.
Ace Hood and Ja Rule have definitely fallen off the face of the earth.
Yep. This is true.
So it is what it is. That's
Um,
why they were later.
I have two honorable mentions,
Okay.
and I took a different approach with my list. So, like, there's a guy to the same conversation as your YG or as your Wale. This is like an honorable mention for the exact same reasons that you're talking about with those two. Isaiah Rashad
Mm,
signed with TDE what seemed like
that's
8 years ago, right? Like, I remember when they announced that. And he makes such good music. I have no idea why it has not connected to a larger platform yet.
didn't get any videos out of you sucking dick. That's
Well,
there's
you
that.
know,
Which is crazy because in this world you think, hey man, do what you do, go
no,
crazy.
you lose like most of your hip hop fans at that point.
Which is crazy, bro. Like let
Hip
them
hop's
suck
the
some
most
dick.
homophobic
Just let them suck
genre
some
that
dick.
there
What are we
is.
doing here? It's not your dick. Just let them suck some dick. It's cool.
Have you listened to any DMX? Like, like it's such like a homophobic genre. But and
He
especially in
literally said, "I'll suck your daddy's dick," and complimenting a woman, and we just overlook that.
we're like it's
I
bigger.
can't suck no dick. What are we doing? What are we doing? I don't understand. This is hip hop. What are we doing?
I want to throw up.
Let that man do what he's got to do. I don't understand.
Holy
I'm saying.
yeah. So in a time, I'm trying to get back on track. In a time where like it seems like when people are listening to music, they want to vibe super hard. And I don't think there's a guy that does more vibey music than Isaiah Rashad. Like if you want to just get in your car, drive through the city with the windows down, Isaiah Rashad is that music. It's almost it's like J. Cole with more swag. Like honestly, it's like more drippy J. Cole.
Yeah,
And
that down south flavor to it a little bit.
yeah, and it's so fantastic, and I have no idea why he's not just super huge right now. Pause. Um, you know what I'm saying? Um, I have not seen the video, so I don't know if he's super huge or not.
Oh, I don't know that.
Like I don't know. And
That
another
down
guy who's not really hip hop, Bryson Tiller, man.
He's had a good album come out.
That was not a good album, in my opinion.
It wasn't bad. I'm not mad at it.
I have ever since Trap Soul is a moment in time that should be documented and made a
Oh, yeah.
statue out of.
It pivoted R&B.
Yeah, like Trap Soul was that's a guy to your Wale take. Trap Soul, I was like, oh, this guy's gonna be the top of R&B for
Right.
forever. And I have not liked anything that he's put out since then. And I'm not trying to go on a tangent of why I don't like him, but the music just seems all over the place. You can't find a bridge or anything in sight. He just kind of gets on there and just like sings freestyles, and it bothers me.
I can
But
see that.
Bryson Tiller, that's an honorable mention, but he's not a rapper, so I didn't really put him on there. New music. How do you feel about the new Gunna? One of one.
I love it. It's a you talk because all right, Gunna, we're not going to for lyrics. I don't want to hear any of his deep thoughts. Get on a beat and vibe. That's all I care about.
Right.
He does that perfectly on this album. So much so that I think we need to send more rappers to jail so they can snitch and come out and see what happens. Because he's going crazy. 2 for 2 since he's been out of jail.
Right.
He might be, he's like went to jail, came out, and then has been putting on an all-star performance ever since.
This
Boy
is
got
true.
shape. It's crazy. I don't understand what's going on.
Um, let me ask you this. I was
What's
thinking
up?
about this when I was listening to this project. Who do you think wins in a versus, Lil Baby or Gunna?
Done, without question.
Ooh, quick.
I'm not. I'm not a huge little baby
But
fan
I'm not
either.
asking like who you're more of a fan of. I'm saying like in a general consensus, if you're putting records against records, because
Are we doing
Gunna has
20?
insane features.
Are we doing 20 songs?
20 songs, yeah.
I think the bottom 10 of Gunners are way better than Lil Baby's bottom 10 by far.
So 20 records versus 20 records. And
Yeah.
I'm just what you think the masses would think. You think Gunna beats Lil Baby? I know in your opinion, you're a Gunna fan more than Baby, so you're gonna say Gunna, but like
I want to
trying
say
to take your fandom out of it.
it's tough because I don't think Lil Baby has a solid 20, if I'm being honest with you.
Well, can someone say that maybe Gunna doesn't either? So that's where
Yeah,
it
no,
matches up.
and that's where I think it's kind of tough, but I think that I put it like this. I think a subpar song from Gunna sounds better than a subpar song from Lil Baby. And I think
That's
that's where
probably true.
that bottom 10 starts to creep up on a little bit. Now the top 10, I think you honestly go either way because Lil Baby's got some shining moments. But I think the past 3, 4 years have not been decent to Baby. And
Not at
Gunna's
all.
been in jail for half of it. And he's one of the bigger rappers on the planet.
No, I
So
got you.
I mean he got fuck you mean out of that, which is if they're doing a versus is one of the bigger songs out of both of them.
True. Yep. That's a
And that's
that's a
decent.
huge one. I really like that Prada record with Offset.
Problem. Yeah.
That's a
I
such a
think
good song.
and I think it's the beginning of starting to get some of those artists back. They're just like, whatever, we just want to make some good music. They're not really gonna care about the snitch stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
that's gonna go away with time. I think we all kind of knew that.
yeah, I think
Um,
the only thing that could change that is if a young thug comes out and it's just like, no, he's snitching. Like that could change things a little bit.
yeah.
But outside of that, if Thug doesn't say anything or just never gets out of jail, then it is what it is. We don't know.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out. I think Gunna has some of my favorite features. Like on other people's records,
Oh yeah.
Gunna he has some of my favorite verses. Like I think he makes songs so
The
much
more I
better.
think about it, I think he might watch Lil Baby, if I'm being honest with you.
But now that I think about it, yeah,
No, no, I might put some
Gunna
thought
has
into
a
it.
nasty featured like catalog.
He's a sound. That Lemonade, with the song with
Oh,
Travis Scott. Like,
Lemonade's gonna go off.
it's crazy. He has a lot. He has a lot with Travis Scott. He's about 3 or 4 with Travis Scott that's going to be in that bottom 10.
Yeah, and I'll say this: when Gunna is recording records where there's like a melody,
Oh,
I'm so in.
it's
I
crazy.
am. It's amazing. It's
But
when Gunna gets away from that and just starts just rapping. That's where he kind of loses me a little bit, and it's kind of not like I say it's boring, but it's kind of like I need a little something more. Um,
that's where I think he's gotten better at recently. Like, this is one song on the new album, which I think is crazy. And keep in mind, when we say rapping,
it's not bars,
we're
lyrical,
not talking about
miracle,
earlier conversation
spiritual.
with the J. Cole's. The Kim,
Yeah,
like, no, let's get that out. They said this is just vibing with it.
right.
Uh, there's a song, Neck on a Yacht. Crazy. It's just the
That's
beats go,
your shit.
it flows on it perfectly. It's just he's just talking shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not rapping about anything. But I think it's not that song doesn't have much melody on it. He's just kind of going.
Yeah.
And I think that's where he's good. He's just gonna vibe. And I think that benefits from knowing melodies well. You'll kind of know what's gonna fit in that scenario. And I think that's where he thrives.
Yeah, I think my favorite records are the on that project are the ones with, like there's a record called Trio on that album where he has a very solid melody that I'm in for the whole
Yeah,
time.
that was hard.
The Roddy Rich record, it's more of a slower, sad record, but there's a solid melody in there, and I think
Mhm.
they both did their thing on it.
He did a record with Leon Bridges that's kind of surprised me a little bit because I love Leon Bridges, but it's just not. I don't pair those two vibes together. I don't
I
listen to.
love Leon Bridges too. Yeah,
It's I listen to Leon Bridges like Sunday morning cleaning. I listen to Gunna when I'm trying to do other things in life.
yeah. Shout out to my son,
Yeah.
your boy.
So I don't know. It was a good. It was actually a surprisingly good pairing.
Yeah. So give me a rating of the Gunna album, however your metric system is. It could be 2 thumbs up, it could be 9 out of 10, it could be 99 out of 100, it could
I'll give
be
it
4 gold stars,
7.5, 8 out of 10.
7.5, 8 out of 10.
It's solid. It's not the most amazing thing I've ever heard. I don't think it's better than his last album yet.
But
At least I got to listen to it a few more times.
mhm,
But it's solid. Like it's a I can vibe all the way through, and I'm cool. It's definitely some songs that I could kind of do without, but
right.
they're not the worst songs in the world. It's he kind of reminds me of a Future where he's not really necessarily going to make a bad song, but there's just some songs you can go without.
Absolutely. Other new music came out. Childish Gambino dropped his best imitation of Prince, and you really gotta be into some music to
Right.
find things you like about that album. If you're want to hear Childish Gambino for his old rapping days, like back in the day, like because of the internet type stuff,
How
ain't
long has
gonna
it been since
happen.
rapped? It's been a long time.
Ain't gonna happen, Captain. So
Kind of
this album,
got an album coming this summer though, so we'll see.
yeah, like we talked about, this Childish Gambino called Ada Vista. I'm not promoting drugs. It's legal where I live,
Hmm.
so I can promote that. If drugs is legal in your state, whatever that means, I would recommend taking them
I don't know if you
and
should
uh
say
and,
recommend. I don't.
and listen to this project. If it's legal, and it's what you choose to do and you're of age and all that good stuff. This
There you go.
Ada Vista album, that's how you want to take in this album. I woke up from a nap because I got a newborn, so I'm napping a bit. I woke up from a nap and heard this, and it startled me. It was very interesting, and it's some 7 minute song, so buckle in. But it's like I said, it's very Prince like. So if you like Prince, I think you'll appreciate what he was trying to do on this one. Other like notable, and it being in the hip hop category, no. There's
Yeah.
not a bar on the album. I think 21 Savage is on it for like 30 seconds, but definitely not a hip hop album.
21 Savage is a really odd, like, common feature for Childish Gambino.
They're cool. They're like friends, yeah.
21 Savage has some weird friends, but continue. Sorry. Just
um
weird.
and for all my hippity hip hop guys, Conway the Machine, Slant Face Killer came out, and he's just rapping his ass off.
What album
Uh,
title?
well, he's got cerebral palsy, so his face
Yeah,
is slanted.
yeah. That's
So,
what I said. What an album title? It's
like,
fitting.
it almost sounds racist, you know?
Well, he got shot in the face.
No, yeah, he got busted up, but no, he's rapping his ass off this album. He has a record with that's produced by Cool and Dre. I think it's the third record on there. That record is the best record on the album. I love that song. He's going crazy on it. So that would be. I think it's called Show and Show. I believe. Let me look it up. But Conway the Machine, he's been actively putting out music for so long. Give and Give, not Show and Show. Give and Give.
I
Give
was
and Give. I mean, I was somewhat close,
same
but
shit.
no, that's super dope. So those are the other notable projects. I don't know if you got around to listening to them, but I'm sure you've been on Gunna on repeat. So
Facts. I ain't gonna lie to you. Absolutely. I've been
and
gun on repeat and then listening to the diss tracks in order nonstop.
and you don't give Drake a round, do you?
Um, I think in hindsight, I might give him a round against Meet the Grams, but Meet the Gram did what it needed to do.
Because all the stuff was fake, right?
Shut up.
Yeah.
It's not the better song. Family Matters is the better song in this scenario. So I'll give him that round in hindsight. It's hard because Meet the Grams was not a better song, but it did exactly what it needed to do. Outside of that, Kendrick won every other round. That's why I said German sweep 3-1. That's how I
And
rated it.
and I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but I remember saying before any of these records came out, I remember saying that J. Cole bowed out of this because it's like he knew something that we don't know.
It's gonna get dirty.
And it J. Cole looks so normal. We were like, he don't want to rap. This is bullshit. And I'm pretty sure I could pull up the text between me and you where I was saying, I think J. Cole realized that in this scenario, if you even own a computer or anything that has access to the internet, you can see that the internet was dividing and putting Cole and Kendrick or Cole and Drake on the same side, and Cole was like, no, 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 no. That's I'm not on this side because it's almost like because there's something up with this side.
Yeah,
So
no.
I'm bowing out respectfully. I'm not gonna
Especially when you hear him on the Future album the next week or the
right.
next
It
it
was
felt like
like I'm not gonna switch sides because that'd be kind of fucked up. And if you're smart, you want the Drake relationship. So I think his only option was to say, "Hey, I'm bowing out respectfully from all of this. Y'all do y'all's thing." Instead of saying "fuck you, Drake," "fuck you, Kendrick," it was
I'm out. No,
"I'm
I want
out." And now it all makes sense because honestly, I'm glad he did that because I don't think we would have gotten what we've gotten this far if he would have stayed in.
yeah, I agree.
So there we go. I mean, that's if you we could just get into basketball if you don't have anything pressing music wise. I feel like we really
Ready.
dissected that shit.
I'm ready.
Here we go. So
Side note,
we are
Pictures 5. I love it.
we are in the mix of the playoffs right now. If you want a live update, the Nuggets are beating the Timberwolves by 2 in the second. Um, I kind of just want to get your thoughts as far as what are some takeaways you have of the playoffs thus far? Who has surprised you? Who has let you down? Who you got?
So far, Clippers let me down per usual.
That's
No,
not going to
no,
change, buddy.
no shocks there. Still hurts. I don't care. Um, yeah, Clippers let me down. And it's so this one's not necessarily their fault. They just couldn't stay healthy. Um, well, let me say this. Giannis and Dame being out made it underwhelming against the Pacers. But the Pacers are putting up a good fight against the Knicks, even though the Knicks are being more shocking than anything. That's one thing. The Knicks have shocked me more than anybody. But that was a little underwhelming. Outside of that, it's going pretty much how I expected.
Yeah, it's and we'll get to it. I have so much to say, but I don't want to get into it. Um, Jalen Brunson's a bona fide superstar,
Easy,
and
without question.
it's given it's really setting a change on the landscape because it's letting you know that you can be an undersized guard. Like he's not really a point guard. He played a lot of two guard, especially in Dallas. He was a two guard to Luca. He's really like a 5'3" two guard, right?
Yeah.
But it's really saying that you can get someone undersized that just knows how to hoop, and you can win a lot of games. And it kind of makes GMs be more open minded, and
Mhm.
I think it's great for basketball, right? Um, as far as like my surprises, Jalen Brunson's a superstar, and it's coming off of a year where everyone was telling him that he's not a superstar, that the
Yeah.
Knicks can't go far
They
with
said they made a
Jalen
mistake.
Brunson.
Jalen Brunson contract looks amazing right now.
Imagine if he just would have, but anyways, so and I think the Knicks, and I don't want the head coaching of the Knicks to go by the wayside.
Yeah.
Look at who they're winning with. It's
Content.
very, it's very. I'm gonna show you something. Check this out. I don't want to show my hand to it. I'm gonna show you something. Okay. I'm gonna
Okay.
share my screen,
Tom
and I want you to
Thibodeau.
look at this.
Talk about working OT is insane.
Okay. This is two players, player A and player B. All right.
As long as Josh Hart.
Josh Hart is at the top. I'm look at you. You know ball, don't you?
Well, yeah. Pause.
So this
Um,
is Josh Hart at the top.
can I guess the next person?
You can guess the next person.
Actually, no. I'm not going to guess the
No,
next
so I'll give you a hint. It
person.
is
Okay.
someone who is retired, not playing anymore.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
This is like a pretty high profile person, I guess you could say.
Is this Carmelo? I don't know.
This is obviously Josh Hart up top. This is Scottie Pippen on the 95-96 championship team in the playoffs. These are both playoff stats.
That's comparison.
No. Look at this. Look at the stat
No,
line.
no. I understand it. It's just a random person to pull. That's all.
Well, because it's going to support my next topic where I say the Knicks are very Bulls like.
Okay.
And this is why they have guys, they have your star, and I'm not saying Brunson's Jordan, don't throw me in that, but they have your star player, and then you have these role players that are playing their asses off. So if Brunson's your star, and then you got Josh Hart, he's the best rebounding guard in the league,
without
or
question.
forward, whatever you want to play him at. And then he's being such a great utility guy. He can do whatever you need. He doesn't sit down. He plays 44 minutes a game, playing like that Pippen role. And then you got Dante DiVincenzo lighting it up from three. It's a bunch of role players
Going crazy.
that are beating great teams. They beat the Sixers with Embiid, with Maxey.
Yeah,
Like
I
it,
I think we talk about just like with the that heat culture thing where guys will show up to play and then they'll go play somewhere else next year and be bums. I think that's when a coach can bring the most out of you, and that's what we're seeing
it
now. Thibodeau's going to make you play until you die, but
this can't be good on Josh Hart.
no, it yields results. So what? How can you argue with it? You know,
I am worried about Josh Hart's heart.
well put, well put.
I'm worried about Josh's heart.
I think they asked him about it. He was just like, "Yeah, people work 12-hour shifts, so how can I complain, sir? Let me tell you something.
We
As
ain't
somebody
doing
who's
that.
working 12-hour shifts, I don't do that.
No,
Like,
no. No matter what I do, I'll never do that. You
if
know,
I run like that for 5 minutes, I'll die. Like, I don't. How are you doing this for 48
he's
minutes a
giving you
night?
44 minutes a game. That's insane. Um, yeah. So let me ask you, since we're in the playoff conversation, who is the favorite right now, in your opinion, to win the whole thing out of the guys that are out?
It's got to be the Celtics.
Mhm.
Even though Tatum's been really, really disappointing, I imagine it has to be the Celtics. On the East and on the West, I really like the Timberwolves. I really like the Timberwolves. Now they're going against their hardest matchup right now because they match up so well against them. But I really like the Timberwolves. I think Ant has showed us something that we saw coming, but we didn't anticipate it being this early. And we're seeing how well Rudy Gobert can fit on that team.
Yeah. So I think it really depends on who is going to come out of the West, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I do think overall, I like the Celtics, right? But let's play hypothetical and say the Celtics are going to the finals, okay? Not trying to disrespect the Knicks or anything, but let's just for this conversation's sake. The Nuggets, I think, are the only team that are a threat to the Celtics.
Okay.
Any
Just
other
matchup
team in
wise.
the right. Any other team in the West, I think Celtics handle easy. I think the Celtics handle the Timberwolves. I think the Celtics handle the Mavs. I think they handle the Thunder. I think the Nuggets are the only team that I think Celtics aren't so much of a favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And the Knicks, I think they have a legit shot to do something great here and make it super hard for the Celtics to get to the finals.
Yeah.
But
They're not gonna have Randall.
I think the Knicks in let's say the Knicks go to the finals. I think whoever's coming out of the West beats them.
Yeah.
No, that could be whoever,
Yeah.
right? I think I don't like the Mavericks, respectfully. Luca has been playing surprisingly. He's been shooting surprisingly bad.
Yeah.
I think he's
It's
like
kind of tough.
26% from three. I think after the last game, he said something about how he's super sore, everything hurts. His type of play, I think it's not aging well in the playoffs. And I think we've kind of seen that a little bit.
James Harden, i.e.
Yeah. Well, don't even go and get me started. Um, but and I'm not trying to play what ifs because basketball is a bunch of what ifs, but I mean, if you don't get a crazy couple games from PJ Washington out of Dallas, I think they're really behind in this series.
Yeah.
But you did get those games, so it doesn't matter. But
PJ
um,
Washington's a great addition, that's for sure.
Luca's not winning them any games right now, and it's really coming off of Kyrie has to step up, PJ has to step up because he's either he's hurt or just something's not clicking right now.
Kudos to them because they have stepped up when they needed to in those moments.
Right, and his stats are gonna look cool because he's gonna have the triple double. But if you look at like how many shots he's taking, his percentages, it doesn't look great right now. He's actually having his worst playoff stats in his career right now,
Mhm.
and you know, so I don't believe in them. OKC, they're just such a young team,
Yeah,
such a young team, and
Prince is going to catch up at some point. I
it,
think this next round, if they make it past Dallas, I think either one of these teams, uh, Minnesota or Denver, is going to wipe them out. But OKC looks like they're going to win one in the next few years.
right, like they're just gonna get better,
Yeah.
honestly, and it's with the Timberwolves, to your point, there are games where everybody doesn't show up except Ant.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Edwards shows up every single game, and it just
Yep.
seems like Karl Anthony Towns isn't there. Gobert isn't there. I mean, he's doing his thing defensively, but offensively, that's where the issues come. And I worry about those other guys not named Ant on that team. Whereas you look at a Nugget squad, Jokic is going to give you 28. Jamal Murray seems like he thrives in these moments, and
Yeah,
he's going to be so clutch, and he's going to give you 30. Michael Porter Jr. never shied away from shooting the ball. It just seems like the Nuggets are more ready for a run like this.
I agree.
And I think if the Nuggets come out the West, who I think is going to win it all changes. I think if anybody but the Nuggets come out the West, I think the Celtics got it. Though I do think the Knicks they got a shot to go to the finals, and I think if they do, I think they get out of there pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But that's what I got. Um, so you mentioned the Clippers letting you down, dude. What are we doing with the Clippers? It seems like Kawhi signs an extension, right? Why? Like so,
It sounds like he just wants to be in LA, to be
like,
honest with
but the team has like the GM doesn't have to offer him the contract extension.
you. Yeah, but I think that when you're in that position, you're trying to win. The
And
Clippers
that's
have.
why I say you don't do it.
I understand that, but I think that Kawhi is one of the bigger stars in the league, right? I think that's a undisputed. But
No, I don't
obviously
agree. I don't agree.
he's not.
I don't
He's not.
think he is.
Okay.
He's not on the floor.
And that was to lead to my next point. If you would shut the hell up and listen.
Oh God, we're on a
The health,
podcast. Oh shit.
shut up. Shut up. The health is the concern, right? So I think that your problem there is how do you build around that, right? He's got to be healthy. That team is not good when they're not healthy, which honestly shouldn't be the case. I don't think they should have went out how they went out, even with or without Kawhi. I think that's part of my argument. Um, the team's constructed all right, but now what?
That's my point.
That's
Like, is the goal just to keep running it back? I mean, it seems like I think Harden's staying. I think he's going to resign. I think
yeah.
Paul George. I think they're going to try to get Paul George back. Even if you wanted to do something tricky with Paul George's player option and you wanted to do some type of trade, what value are you getting that's a better option than Paul George? And I think Paul
Nothing.
George wants to stay. So are you just going to do what the Sixers have been doing? Are you going to do what the Lakers have been doing? Are you just going to say, okay, these are our guys, and then we're just going to rotate other talent until they play better? I
I think
mean,
then the Suns, the Lakers, and the Sixers are all in the same spot. That's exactly what they're doing.
and but what you got to just love first round exits. Like you got to love it because Kawhi Leonard. And to your point, I do disagree that he's not. I think you pull 100 people off the street. I don't think and you tell them name me your top 20 players. I don't think Kawhi's in their top 20.
Really?
He's not in my top 10.
Hmm.
Like and we'll that's a great segue to our next segment.
I think when healthy, that changes things. But
It
obviously,
just
health is
doesn't
part
like
of it. Health is part of it.
so it's if I'm going to hire you to do a job, right? And if you have a history of fucking things up, I'm going to pay you less. And I'm not saying pay Kawhi Leonard less, but I'm saying you have more caution with thought when it comes to
You
Kawhi.
have to consider everything. I
Yeah,
understand.
and it's like that, like and we'll get to the list where like I'll explain it, but um No, it's just he's not reliable. He's gonna play 50 something games. He's
Mhm.
not gonna show up where you need him most. And I'm not blaming the dude. He's a great basketball player, one of the best wing defenders when healthy. You're absolutely right there. He's when healthy, a top player. He has not been that in forever,
It's been
in what seems to be
4
forever. And
years, three,
huh?
4 years. It's been 3, 4 years since
It's
he's been
been a
there.
while, and
I agree.
there's no signs of it stopping. And I just I don't know what you're doing. So if you're going to bring back Harden, I like Harden in LA. I do. I think at times in the Maverick series, I think Harden was the most consistent Clipper on the floor. And
Yeah.
then Paul George just inconsistent. Like he's amazing when he's on, bad when he's off. And then a Kawhi who's not there. I don't know. And then when you obviously when you're re-signing these guys, you know, Paul George has a player option that's $48.8 million,
Taking that.
and it's you know,
Taking that. Give me that.
these guys are making 50 million a year, and you're wondering why you're not moving forward. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, because you have the same, and these guys are getting older too. That's the thing. It's not like we're playing 2K where like we could just keep them in the age we want them to keep them at. Like these guys are getting older. Harden's getting older. Paul George's getting older. Kawhi's getting older. It's Kawhi seemed like he was 28 when he entered the league, and it's like, you know,
It almost seems like with the talent in the league, you have to be utilizing a rookie contract one way or another. It doesn't have to be your
it's a
star player, but it's got to be
fantastic point.
one of your supporting roles has to be a rookie contract. If you're not doing that, you're not going anywhere. You're not going to get better. You're just slowly going to get worse.
Or you just have guys that are on decent contracts that just show the fuck up, like Jamal Murray
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
friendly contract, but he just loves these fucking high pressure situations. And
Those guys are few in between. That's the problem.
okay. So the perfect segue. Perfect segue. Let's get to our top 10, right? So
All right.
this we wanted to get to the nitty-gritty, and I wanted to make sure that we are on the same page moving forward with these episodes, right? I want to do a top 10 players in the league right now. And
Can I start with my 10? Just as a
Kawhi
segue.
Leonard.
Yeah, it's Kawhi Leonard.
There you go. Okay. So you got Kawhi Leonard at 10. All right. My 10 guys I would want more than Kawhi Leonard. It's a tie. I have another tie. Okay. I couldn't do it. I got Jalen Brunson and Devin Booker.
Okay, I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, they're tied. I can't choose one over the other. Like, part of me wants to be like Booker's a better scorer, but I'm like Jalen Brunson. What he's doing right now, I don't think Booker could do, and I think that's important.
That's
So,
fair. I have Brunson as 11, but I'm with
okay,
you.
cool. All right, so we're not far off. Okay, Brunson slash Booker at 10 for me, and at 9, I got Stephen Curry.
Okay, so at 9, I got Book actually.
Okay, cool.
So I think to your point that you still have to consider Jalen Brunson, right?
Mhm.
Uh, but I think that when I break down the totality of everything, size wise, still makes a difference in the situation. Whether we want to, obviously, Brunson's making it seem like that's not the case, but we know that's the case, right? So
Mhm.
I got Book at 9. 8, Durant.
Ooh, didn't make
Uh,
my list. Didn't make my 10.
really did make your 10.
Didn't make my 10.
I think
I'm
Durant,
sure he's right there, but
yeah. I think Durant is somebody who shows up in the playoffs regardless. I think even these down years where he's been disappointing, it's always him that shows up. And maybe supporting cast his ass, but he shows up every single playoffs, and he's unguardable because how do you block that shot? Him being good is really based on him almost, if that makes sense.
yeah. Uh, at 8, I got a similar guy. I got LeBron James
Mm,
in the 20th. I think he's going into the 21st season or some shit. Um, yeah, I mean, obviously at his age, there's going to be guys that I want more just because.
see, I didn't put it on my list because of that.
Yeah, there's going to be guys, but my list is literally. I think these 7 guys I put above LeBron are the only guys that I would rather have on my team right now.
That's fair.
Everybody below, I'm still taking Braun at 8. Seven, I got Anthony Edwards.
7, I also have Anthony Edwards.
Let's go. Um, yeah, I mean, I did some digging on Anthony Edwards. Turns out he is literally like the best defensive guard in the league.
Oh,
When it comes to defensive efficiency and defensive rating, he's among like Victor Wembanyama. Like it's everybody knows in defensive stats and as far as like the advanced analytics, centers dominate it because they
yeah.
get a lot of steals, they get a lot of so like a guard being in the midst of that is unbelievable, and that's where Anthony Edwards is. He's a legit Jordan Kobe, like amazing offensively, but also a dog defensively.
He's
Um,
22. He's
yeah,
22.
unbelievable. He's gonna be the face of the league
Absolutely.
relatively soon. So we both got him at 7. Anything else you want to add?
No, I mean not too much. I mean, I think that he's obviously made that jump this playoffs because I think we've always seen that out of him, but now we're at the most important time of the year and he's turning it up a notch, which I think we can say that for 95% of the league, that does not happen. So you got to be impressed by that. He's consistent, and by all means, he's just a dog.
He's built different.
I love him going against his idol, Kevin Durant, and talking crap to him down the court every time he hits a shot over him. I love that. That's an energy that you can't teach. That's an energy that keeps you competitive no matter what. So yeah, 7, but I anticipate next year that's going to change. He's going to move up a few notches. 6, and I just can't seem to move this guy. I got Steph.
Okay.
Uh, it's hard for me to put him under some people just because I know what he's capable of. I know his team has been ass, so he's not going to make the playoffs. It's going to look away, but he's still Steph at the end of the day. And until that shot stops falling, then I can't put him too low on that list.
I respect it. At 6, I got Joel Embiid.
Okay.
Um, it could be higher because he's just one of those regular season guys
Yeah.
where he's just gonna have stat lines that you think are fake. Like
Yeah.
he's absolutely amazing. Just can't seem to get it done any point in the playoffs. And it seems like he's hurt all the time as well.
Yeah.
At least he shows up to the playoffs, but I don't know if it's casting crew, supporting cast. I mean, he's got Tyrese Maxey. I feel like you could have a worse partner than Tyrese
Yeah.
Maxey.
Absolutely.
Um,
Maxi
but
can be inconsistent. I think it's one thing that I saw this playoffs. There's times where he's just not on at all, and when he's not on, he
Maxey or Embiid?
Maxi.
Okay, yeah.
When he's not on, he's an undersized guard that you can take advantage of. So that's I think that's kind of the problem with certain when we talk about guards in the league that are a little undersized, just like Jalen Brunson. When you're not hitting, you're useless on the court for
Right.
lack of words. I think Maxi's kind of in that same ballpark. He's not great defensively. He can move the ball a little bit, but when you're not hitting, that threat kind of goes away a little bit. So that's my only concern there because I thought he played pretty well in the playoffs this year. To be honest with you,
I mean, he always just plays well. It just seems like I think it was Paul Pierce or some former player analyst said, Embiid just gives it everything he has in the regular season, and then when it comes to the playoffs, he gasses out because he just gave it everything, you know. And I guess it's commendable, but also how can we
yeah,
fix that
it's
at the same time?
tough because we complain about the LeBrons that take days off during the playoff or
Right.
regular season to get ready for playoffs, and then we argue you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah. So I got
Um,
Embiid at 6, and
okay,
then um 5. So we're getting in the top 5.
top 5. Let's go.
5, I got Shea.
Shea. Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow,
Shea
that's pretty
Gilgeous
high.
Alexander. I mean, MVP candidate this year. He has averaged what seems to be 30 for the past couple of years, leading his team of youngsters,
Mm-hmm.
being an absolute leader, going deep in the playoffs with Chet Holmgren, with Jalen Williams, a bunch of young guys, and he's making it work. A lot of people think he should have won MVP this year. I don't know if I'm one of them, but there was a case for it. Um, I'm going to this point in my list, I'm going to MVP, like MVP consideration is important to me. How far you go in the playoffs is important to me. Rings are important to me. So I got Shea at 5.
All right, 5. I got Giannis. Um,
Ooh. Okay.
Unstoppable talent.
Yep.
And I think that when you discuss players that no matter what you do, kind of like same Kevin Durant concept, players that no matter what you do, it's really based on them how well they perform that night. Giannis can take over a game any point in time, and defensively, good luck. So
That's also something I forgot to add about Shea is that if Anthony Edwards is number one defensively guard as a defensive guard, Shea's a close number two. His defensive numbers are through the charts. So sorry, continue.
and four, I got Tatum.
Me too.
Although he's let me down a little bit this playoffs,
Yeah,
we kind of alluded to it earlier.
he's not
Uh,
doing that bad. How's he doing?
you
He's
know,
only
he's
six.
not terrible, but he's
Oh,
just been a little inconsistent.
dude's averaging 24, 10, and 5, and you're like, you're letting me down.
I'm sorry, but I expect a little bit more out of Tatum. Let me put it
He
like
is
that.
shooting 26% from three. So him
Thank
and
you.
Luca. Yeah.
Thank you. Now he's still Tatum though. You know, I can't go off a few games, especially when they're on the path to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. We can overlook a couple of things because he's consistent. But no, I got Tatum. I'm not mad at it.
Okay. So I had Tatum at four as well.
Okay.
The length that he's gone in playoffs, is important to me. He rather if it's you want to blame it on supporting cast or whatever, he wins in the playoffs, and that's more than you can say of about a bunch of guys in the league.
Yeah,
And
he just needs a ring now.
from a defensive standpoint, and he's kind of just a guy that's not great at anything but good at everything.
Yeah, no, I agree.
There's not. I don't think you can find a better like well-rounded guy as far as two-way offense defense. He's not throwing out 12 assists a game, but that's kind of not what he's there for. He's kind of I'm gonna get a bucket type of guy,
Mhm.
and plays fantastic defense. So I got Tatum at four. Number three, I got Luka Doncic.
Okay.
Um, then this hurts me, and I'm being politically correct for the pod, but I've had some Luca Tatum conversations where I've kind of swung either way. Um, Look, Luca, I'm gonna put my beef aside. Okay, everybody knows I got a beef with Luca for some Houston reasons, but Luca, he's a fantastic talent. Uh, he comes up big in games, especially regular season games, gets people involved. I need to see it this playoffs to really be a believer.
Yeah.
Like he needs to go get in the Western Conference Finals, because it seems like kind of like Embiid, where Luca has won some big series. I don't want to take that away from him, but it seems like the play kind of takes a step back at some point because the ball's in his hand all the time. And I think now it should be even better with Kyrie being on the team, and Kyrie's such a fantastic ball handler that he could take some plays off. But to what you were saying about Tatum, this playoffs, he's having his worst playoff season in his entire career statistically right now. So I'd like to see him step it up, but you know, I
Yeah.
can't put him any lower than three. Who you got at three?
Three, I got beat.
Okay.
We've already spoke to him a little bit, but like I said, it's a dominant big man.
Yep.
I think this is the era of we're having a resurgence of the big man as of recently, but we're having a resurgence of the big man that can do everything. I mean, obviously, eventually that'll lead us to our number one, right? But I think that we're seeing a resurgence of that, and Bede's not too far off.
Maybe your number one.
Hmm. Got a random person there.
I got
At
Corey
two,
Brewer at number one.
at two, I got Luca. Right.
Yep.
Just kind of a little swapped. Same reasons. Disappointing by all means. But when he's hitting, man, just to your point, Houston bias. I would put my guy in the same spot at his peak, even though might have been a little disappointed in the playoffs. I'm seeing the same thing here.
It's identical, Jordan. It's the
So
same thing.
I got to keep the same argument. You know what I mean? So I'm not mad at it. It's he's had some great playoff moments. It's just not this year. He's just lucky he has a PJ Washington and a Kyrie that kind of help carry him past this point. Uh, and that's, I mean, 2018
But
Harden had the
that's
Chris Paul.
also basketball,
Yeah, you got to have somebody else.
Put talent on the team. I'm
Yeah.
not going to be mad at him. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So two, I got Giannis. Um,
Okay.
it was So I was debating who's going to be my two. I think the one's pretty sewn up,
Yeah.
but at two, I was thinking Luca, but Giannis. I don't want to. He's been hurt in the playoffs the last couple years, but I don't want to take away that he does have a championship and he is absolutely dominant when he's on and when he's healthy. It seems like he's relatively healthy throughout the year, but it seems like the last couple of years, it seems like the playoffs is when he would actually get hurt in a game,
Yeah.
would be in a playoff game, which that sucks
Yeah.
because he seems he's healthy all throughout, except for those games that you sit out for, sprained ankles and whatnot. But dominant, gets people involved. I mean, when you're 7 foot and can run and dunk like that, why wouldn't I want you on my team?
Mhm.
But yeah, what put him over Luca, in my opinion, was the championship ring, was the playoff experience, and that's no shot to Luca. He's got time. Um, and number one, I think it's Nikola Jokic.
Yeah,
Number one.
without question.
Um,
The person who doesn't care about basketball the least.
that's crazy. A championship, handful of MVPs.
Possibly another one on the way this year. Um,
Um, yeah,
championship wise. So it's I mean that team's just so solid and he's so consistent.
and it's a team that's literally built from the ground up. That's my favorite part about basketball. That's why when the Rockets was getting beat up by Golden State, everyone wanted to hate Golden State, but you just couldn't because they're a team that figured it out from the ground up. And the Nuggets are just like that, right? It's where they draft super fucking good. They drafted Jamal Murray, drafted Michael Porter, and people said, don't draft Michael Porter. Remember, he had a bad back issue, and they said, don't touch him. They're like, no, we're taking him. And then Nikola Jokic was drafted during a fucking Taco Bell commercial in the second round.
One
And
of the greatest players of
like,
all time now.
yeah, they just built from the ground up. Let me get a championship, a 3-and-D guy in Caldwell Pope. Like, let me just build this from the ground up, and they love playing with each other. They play so well together. There's not a more prettier team as far as basketball goes that you can just watch besides the Denver Nuggets.
Mhm.
Like there's the backdoor cuts, the fundamentals, the awareness on pick and rolls and screen and rolls. Like it's unbelievable what that team is able to do. And Jokic is just he's undeniable at this point. Best player in basketball.
Absolutely.
I
No,
think we both agree there.
I don't have much to add. We know what it is.
We already know. And the last thing I got is, we're getting into the off season. Some free agents that are will be available this off season that you think are super interesting. Um, I'll kind of give you. I have four
Okay.
guys that
I
I
think
would
we have
just
a lot of guys that will resign.
there will I agree with that too. Like I think Braun's resigning. I think Braun's going back. I think Harden's going back to the Clippers. Um, there's a lot of that. Paul George, I think he's going back to the Clippers, but
Like,
he's one of the names I have because he's interesting because he has a player option that's 48.8 million. Does he accept that player option or does he think he can get more? I don't know
I imagine.
because um, but the guy that's kind of number one on my list that I would just love to see what his next move is DeMar DeRozan.
He's on my list as well. I agree.
Dude, he just is so good and he
Mhm.
just stays good and doesn't regress at any point. And I
Consistently good.
yeah, and I think he can really help. I think he's definitely going to go to a better team now.
Love him to go see him go to New York.
Ooh.
Love him in New York.
Did he when he was in Chicago? Did him and Thibodeau cross paths or no? I don't think so.
I think so.
Me neither. Um, but yeah, no, DeMar DeRozan, I think he's played really good on some bad teams. I would definitely like to see what his next move is. Give me another guy on your list there.
I got Nick Claxton. I
Me too.
young guy. We had like I said, resurgence of the bigs, but he's a young guy that can really help a playoff team. So I
Legit rim protector.
absolutely bias. I'd love to see the Rockets try to sign him. Uh,
Everyone's going to Houston.
no, Houston. So is LeBron, Bronny James, everybody. But no, it's I think he can really help a playoff team. I think there's a lot of fits. There's something to be said about guys who know their job and just do their job. he can fit in almost any playoff team we can speak of. With the exception of maybe like even if you talk about like the Sixers, who already have obviously one of the best big men in the league, that's somebody that can service some of those minutes and eat up some of that time where he gets unhealthy. And he could just be a big man, pick and roll and block shots. That's all I need you to do. And
Fuck
I
yeah.
think that's where he can thrive. But I can think of a million teams that's going to try to sign this guy. He can go anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely unrestricted. And one of the best rim protectors is improving. He's still a young guy.
Yeah,
This last year is kind of his first season starting every single day, so he's really new in that regard. Um, has
11 or
a developing a little jump shot. I like it. Another guy, assuming that he can stay out of legal trouble, Miles Bridges.
absolutely.
He had a really good under the radar year because who's checking up on Charlotte?
And
Nobody.
also, I don't think it's the guy you want to promote in the NBA.
Yeah. And I don't know what the contract's going to look like for him given legal troubles. Are they going to be hesitant to give such a big contract? Because I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think his numbers were something along the lines of like 24, 7, and 4. Like
Yeah,
some really good numbers. Great size for the position. Can play a big small forward or a small power forward, right? A guy again, think he can help a lot of squads, and especially if you can get him on a good deal, considering that he's coming off of some type of legal trouble and playing for crappy teams. He might fly under the radar. People might not know him,
yeah,
like
or
that.
just may
But
not want to touch him.
exactly. So yeah. Anybody else on your list?
Which I think he might resign, but Isaiah Hardenstein,
Oh, okay.
he's really showed up obviously in the playoffs. He's been a very, very serviceable big man. Not perfect, but I think that you can get him for a good contract, and obviously he can help a playoff team because look what he's doing with the Knicks right now.
Yeah. I think if you want a versatile big man who's going to play defense, make the right plays, um, I think he's the guy. I think he's the guy that's going to give you more assists than maybe a big man should
Yeah,
because he's always got his eyes up trying to make the better play. He's a
former
Thibodeau
Rocket,
guy. What's that?
former Rocket
Former Rocket. Yep. I remember
gave him
sending
up.
you the highlight tape on this guy. Like, hey, we just got this guy from where the fuck he came from. Ukraine or some shit. But yeah, no, that's my list. I just had Claxton, Bridges, DeRozan, and then Paul
I got
George.
honorable mention. Honorable mention. Clay Thompson.
That's just gonna be interesting.
You would imagine he would stay, right? But
There's no shot,
that's a
0%.
that's it's. I mean, I hate to say this for every player in the world, but that might be somebody to look out for going to the Lakers. I think that'd be
Ew. I don't
hey,
like it, but you're
it's
right.
the Lakers try to sign anybody and everybody.
Anybody that can play
They just
or that
emailed me
has a
last night.
history of playing, really, you just put like 3 games together, the
Come on,
Lakers are
big
gonna
dog.
sign you. Um, yeah, I just maybe a change of scenery will be better for him, but he's just looks like
He's
it's
declined.
gone. It looks like it's gone.
Yeah, the defense has declined, the shots declined. It's
Do you
yeah,
remember? Do you remember the years where they were trying to say that Thompson was better than Harden?
yes.
Do you remember that?
It was hard to argue because we kept getting beat by them.
Yeah, he kept just locking his ass up, and then it's like,
It
sure,
was like, there's no way he's
sure.
better. He's an MVP candidate. Clay Thompson's not. Well, when's the last time y'all beat the Warriors? That's not the point.
You're not listening to what I'm saying. No, no, those were some dark years for Houston fans. Just wrong blue. We were too good at the wrong time because
Yeah.
there was just someone in the conference that was better. You
Yeah.
know, that's just the way it goes.
The way it
But
goes until you're that team. That's all it is.
and we'll see. But that's all we got on the agenda. I mean, we really broke some shit down, and I feel like for our top 10, I feel like we a couple spots off. Like we were
Yeah,
a couple spots off, but we are pretty much in the same ballpark. Um, anything that you want to share before we anything near and dear to your heart that you want to get off before we shut this joint down?
not at all. Never mind. I'm not going to say that.
Uh-oh.
Let's not get in trouble on the first pod back. Let's.
Oh my God. Now I gotta know. I gotta know what it was.
We'll discuss this later.
This dude was gonna start shouting out some Kanye stuff right before the pod goes out. It's like, oh
Now
shit.
the pod's ending.
The
Let's talk about Jewish people.
the rebrand was crazy. All right, man. Well, that concludes this episode. We hopefully will be back next week because tomorrow's never promised. But we'll be back next week and we will jump on the latest topics, hip hop and basketball related. But this is the Bench Player Podcast, and we're signing off.
Yes, sir.